Hello, welcome everyone to the second week of our level one get together. Do you hear the my voice scratchy, crackly?
I don't think it happens when everybody's muted.
Ah, that's interesting. There's something going on with sound.
We can't hear you now. But you were fine once we all muted.
Headphone. Um,
Now we can.
you
We
can
can
hear
hear
me? Okay, good. All right, perfect. Okay, good. All right, so let's start this again. Okay, welcome everyone. Good to see you all. So today, our topic that we'll be talking about is perception and stress. So you can all open your level one book. Mine is page 23, so it should be around there somewhere for you guys. Hello, Alicia. All right. So one, we can all take turns reading from the book about perception, and then we can talk about it and get some deeper understandings. Hey, Alicia, how are you? All right, Karen's got her book. Lauren has her book. All right. So, hey, Amy. All right. So, um, let's start reading. Who would like to go first?
I can.
All right, go for it, Karen.
So perception is defined as a way of understanding, sorry, regarding, understanding, or interpreting something. It is the key to how we see the world and how we act within it. It is the mind's way of giving meaning to everything in life. It has a magic combination of how to act and how to live. And because everything inside of you is you, it follows that of your perceptions are a projection of what you hold within. Just want me to do one paragraph?
You can read this whole section if you would like.
Okay. So your subconscious, unconscious mind limbic system is constantly referring to the references it holds and then affecting your perception accordingly. It's like looking at the world through different types of lenses. The problem is that we don't know we are wearing lenses and that everyone else is wearing different lenses too. Each person's perception is the lens we wear in any given moment or situation, which depends on the references stored in the subconscious, unconscious mind limbic system that forms the lenses.
Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, who would like to read next? All right, Torian, go for it.
Awesome. So the truth about problems. Have you ever thought to yourself they are the problem? They being the people and situations that are causing you stress. Well, the real cause of the problem isn't what you think it is. It's not them. The cause of all problems is simply put perception, but it starts with at birth and the creation of your model of the world based on your unique experiences. Had you had not been born, had how many problems would you have? None. every experience you have becomes a learning opportunity and create perceptions of the world based on these experiences. Perception is the real cause of problems. It begins at birth and ends at death. People label all kinds of life circumstances as problems, although many people experience the same exact situations. Not everyone thinks they're problems or experiences them the same way.
Anything anyone would like to discuss before we get on to the next page? Any insights, examples coming up?
I actually, so I am currently moving, and I'm what, my style of like household decoration is called extreme maximalism. I don't like white walls, bothers the crap out of me. Um, and it's been really interesting with just changing my perception of like I can't do this. Like there's no way I'm going to be able to do this without professional movers. There's no way because this is the first time that, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this. This is the first time my mom's not helping me move. So
Yeah.
it's like a little bit like, oh God, there was so much more stuff that I knew, and it was just like changing my perception of like that's why she was so stressed out. And I'm like, ah, now I get
Right.
it.
Yeah, so you were able to look at it from her perception, from her lenses. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, hello. I had one, I think it's related. It feels like it is in my head. I had one earlier. I was speaking to my mentor, my tactics practitioner, and she just kept messaging me, tap on it, 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 and it was triggering me. And I said, like, I know that I need to tap on everything. But also just as like a human, I feel like sometimes I have to just not tap on everything. And she challenged me and was like, well, you know, the more that you tap on things and the more that you're going to get there faster. And I was like, I totally understand that. And like I see that perception, but at the same time, I'm still quite new to this and I'm tapping so much that sometimes I do just have to draw a line because otherwise I'm just going to be tapping like 24 hours a day and getting a bit crazy. And it was just interesting because I could see, I was like, this is my trigger to own. Like I could just like ignore the message. But it's finding that line, isn't it, between what I think what this whole experience is showing me is that we can tap on everything and I can tap on everything and that is always in my control. But I also have like the autonomy within me to say, okay, I'm going to stop now, or like I'm going to choose not to take that piece of information, or I'm going to choose not to act on what someone has told me. And I don't know if this is making any sense, but it was just cool to see because I was like, I'm very aware of what's happening here, but it also felt quite empowering for me to be like, I actually just need to stop tapping for a few hours and like live a life.
So, yeah, so if I understand you right, so you were triggered by something and your practitioner told you to keep tapping on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, if I keep tapping, you'll be tapping all the time, right?
Well, what it was is I wasn't basically she sent me a video and I was like, I don't really resonate with this guy. I find his voice a bit annoying. Um, I'm just not going to listen to it. I'll listen to someone who I prefer. And she was like, well, tap on it. And I was like, yeah, I hear you. I could tap on it, but right now it's not a priority. And like, I do have to have some breaks of not tapping on things because right now I
Sure.
could be tapping on literally everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, you could actually physically tap on it, or you could actually break it down and what are you making it mean? This guy's voice. What does it remind you of? So taking it as an opportunity, you can even write it down. You don't have to tap on it. But when we take time to dissect, where's our perception? Why are we getting triggered here? Just, you can just take time to write it down. Okay, this person's voice or his face or his tone reminds me of so and so. And perhaps there's something for me to clear up and heal inside of me. Um, you don't have to be tapping all the time, but you could note it down and just as you bring it consciously to your consciousness, right? You would notice that there's something here to be cleaned up, that there's a person from the past that it reminds you of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Right. And then, as I said, you don't have to tap on it, like, but it's like just deciphering the meaning behind it. There's something here triggering me, and I can choose to watch him or not. And at that point, if it's something that you resonate with, you can choose to watch it, or you can choose not to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Right. Of course. Totally. Hey, Sharon.
Okay. Hi everyone. Sorry I'm joining a little late. I,
No
I feel
problem.
I feel like such the boomer that's like, okay, how do we do this thing again? The Facebook Zoom call stuff. It's like, how did I do this last week? So I get a little bit flustered with technology sometimes. But anyway, sorry for the side rant. I guess with regards to like sorry, it was Amy that brought up the idea of someone suggesting, oh, you tap on it. I mean, isn't part of it is integration, right? It's because I guess my concern is like, well, if you just go through the motions of tapping, it might become like I guess concern that it might become an empty ritual, do you know?
Right. Yeah.
And you're
You
not
don't
really
want to.
thinking,
Yeah.
about.
Yes, definitely. So I just had an example just sort of from this morning. Something was bothering me, and I think I was kind of trying to not look at it. Um, or sometimes we just like, something's bothering you, you're just tapping, 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 and not really thinking about what's going on.
Right.
So it's about, okay, there's something here that's triggering or bothering. Either I'm trying to repress it or I'm trying to make it bigger than what it is,
Mhm.
based on my perception. So it's
Mhm.
about like being mindful, being emotionally present, emotionally
Yeah.
intelligent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, what is going on here? Is there something here that I need to address?
Right.
Something is bothering me. There might be a resource here.
Mhm.
So noticing, that's the aiming part, right? That's the first part of tapping. It's like aiming on what's going on here.
Right.
What am I aiming at? So you're not just like, oh, become a tapping fool, without
Yeah.
even like
Yeah.
realizing what we're doing, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
because right, like
Mhm.
that example, and we all react differently to
Yes.
all these stimuli, right? And
Mhm.
and such. For me, if someone had said that to me, well, why don't you just tap on it? I would get I have a bit of a rebellion there. It's
Me
like,
too. Yes.
why are you telling me what to do all the time? It's like you want to recognize your sense of autonomy. It's like, yes, I have the right to choose. Okay, that's a great suggestion. And maybe
Yes.
like, and thank you for that. But you still get to decide. It's like, okay, so for me, I would like, okay, and maybe I need to tap on control issues, right? Because like someone's always trying to tell me what to do, right? And
Exactly.
and like because I've had some religious encounters where I just always felt like, I was always so pliable, so easily impressionable. I'm not sure, but like I always wanted to come at things from a very humble standpoint, a
Mhm.
viewpoint.
Yeah.
And to me, I was always wanting to be receptive. And so from my reaction is like, maybe I don't need to be receptive. Maybe I need to be in control and choose for myself. I'm just speaking for me, but maybe I need to choose for myself. Well, is this something I need to accept or just let it go,
Right.
So, but anyway, um, thank you, Amy, for that example. I'm sorry if I like took that on a tangent, and but anyway, that's it is. It's all about perception, I think, and like trying to own what it is, or delve into what it is that you're reacting to. I think,
Exactly. So like for Sharon, you instead of like somebody saying, "Oh, just tap on it," and that triggers you. So your thing that you actually need to address in yourself is, be autonomous, right?
Mhm. Right.
First, you're supposed to watch this video that you don't relate to or something.
Mhm.
So you choose not to, and that's your autonomy. You make your decision. And also, if somebody's telling you tap on it, like I get to make that decision
Mhm.
because in the past I have not. But whatever it is, or if somebody telling you and that triggers you because that is challenging your autonomy,
Yeah.
so that needs to be addressed too, because when we are in a balanced state, we get to decide how we want to live our life, but not
Right.
get triggered by others, right?
Right. So that
We,
once you got through it, you wouldn't have that negative reaction if someone said, "Hey, why don't you do blah blah blah?" And I'm like,
right.
"Okay, thank you for that."
Maybe sometimes you need to listen to them. Maybe
Yes,
sometimes you need to listen to yourself. You
exactly.
become in a flow, right?
Yeah, right, right. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. And for Amy, I would have have my practitioner rather ask me, what is it about that that's bothering you? What is it that you need to look at? Um, you know, so just like asking questions, asking the right questions that helps you aim at what your problem is, right? So if this person is triggering you, okay, so just take that personal responsibility of looking at what is here that is triggering me? What is here that I need to address? Correct. Yeah. So does that make sense? Does that feel better? Okay. So who would like to read next?
I can read next.
Okay, please.
So perception example, take rush hour traffic, for example. This is a daily life occurrence for many people. If you were to ask if rush hour traffic was a problem, many would answer with an emphatic yes. They feel angry and frustrated, pondering all the things that they aren't getting done because they're stuck in traffic. They curse, yell, complain, etc. But for others, it isn't a problem at all. They use the time to take a mental break from the worries of life, be present, listen to music or books on tape, or have friendly conversations with others in the car if there are other people riding along. They enjoy the time out that rush hour traffic provides. If rush hour traffic was the real problem, everyone would experience it the same way. They would all feel angry and frustrated. So what is the difference? It's what each person is doing inside their mind that makes it a problem or not. It is how and what they think and the rules, beliefs, and ideas they are operating from. The root of any problem is the meaning you give it, your perception. It's the references in your subconscious, unconscious mind / limbic system and the internal processes that occur inside. Yes, events occur that break the rules of what we think should or should not be, but we are the ones who determine how we respond to them. To have a problem, you must do something correctly inside. Problems are always a success and never a failure. They are a successful result of the internal representation, successful and desirable outcomes. To have a problem, you must respond with your inner resources, either unconsciously or consciously. And because the body responds to your thoughts, it feels real. When you change your beliefs, thoughts, attitudes, etc., your problems also change and you begin having successful, desirable outcomes. You can't often change what happens on the outside, but you can change what happens inside you and therefore how you experience what happens on the outside.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Any insights, anyone? I think a big one is the root of any problem is the meaning we give to it, which is our perception, the meaning we give to it. So that's the root of all problems. And, there might be some some examples like, okay, somebody's in an abusive relationship and they could blame the abuser, and that's, their problem. And they can keep blaming the abuser, right? And then the abuser can become the problem, and we can stay in the, victim mode. But here still the problem is like, why is the person staying in that place of getting abused, right? So there's a problem there. So once we heal that problem of why we are staying in an abusive place, then we can step into a better place. Okay, I can heal this, I can release my past references, and I can step out of it. And that is not my problem anymore, right? So there, it's like, what's the meaning we're giving to it? And why are we staying in a certain situation? Or how are we looking at a certain situation? What colored glasses we're wearing, all that stuff. So, and then I think another a good point here is to have a problem, we must do something correctly inside. Problems are always a success, never a failure. They are a successful result of the internal representations, successful undesirable outcomes. So, we're doing something correctly inside, and that's why we're having this problem. So, are we telling ourselves some stories inside? Are we making up stories about certain people? Or we have an internal representation, as we were talking about with Amy, there must be a tone that reminds us of somebody, the way of speaking, somebody's look that reminds me of somebody else, right? And so there's something inside that we're doing correctly to produce a problem. And it's always a success because the unconscious mind does not know the difference between what's right and what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. It's just producing what's inside already. So if there's a bad connection to somebody from the past, it's going to look for it because it's trying to keep us safe. That's its only goal. And so it doesn't know, oh, this person is good. This is not the same. The past is not the present. That person is not this person. We just make connections and links. And so we're doing something inside correctly to produce this problem. Any other insights, anybody?
I think something that has taken me quite a while to figure out and even still catch myself on is like things that I think are like normal, maybe, or that like everyone's. So an example would be like the teaching that my mom would have given me would be like, if someone says that to you, that makes sense that you would be hurt. So I have this big program of like being hurt all the time of what people say. And I didn't really realize it for a long time. Like, I don't need to be hurt all the time about what other people say. I can just be like, that's interesting. But it's still, I don't know, it still catches me up sometimes. It's like, well, if they're yelling at me, why wouldn't I feel hurt? Or if they're ignoring me or whatever. So I don't know, it's still a bit of a challenge for me to think like that people aren't purposely doing things to me, hurt me, or not purposely doing things, but just to get out of the hurt program.
Right.
Or
Yes.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's kind of like another example would be like a bully, whereas bullies can only bully people who are prone to be victims. Whereas other people are like, oh, you're trying to bully me, you're trying to hurt me. You want to play? Like let's just do something else because they're not in that victim mentality of like, oh, that really hurts. They're like, oh, okay, you're weird. Let's go do something else.
Yeah. So have you worked on the references of mom telling you that?
Um, No, not necessarily. Um, and I think it's just big, like it's just a big spider web for me. And I'm not sure if it's actually like words that I heard. It's just probably more seeing her hurt a lot or
Right.
feeling sorry for me. That was kind of a big program. I was like, oh, I feel so sorry for you, rather than like,
Yeah.
no, like you're a powerful woman, like just shake it off and go on.
Right.
It was,
Yeah,
yeah. So
definitely.
yeah, I think that's part of it. A big thing for me is like rewriting her in my mind. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
for a long time I thought, oh, well, that's just my mom, like that's just who she is, or that's just my brother. But I'm like, no, if I'm playing them in my head, I need to be changing that.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I think you know, I feel like I had a big program of that as well, of being hurt by words, certainly. And it's a process, and I am in a much better place than I was. And it's about recognizing and stepping into a more empowered place within and a bigger sense of self-love as we heal the past hurts. A huge, like, it's a different place of self-love that, coming to recognize I love myself just because, you know, of something I experienced, because um, I have this connection with nature, or I have this connection with, I did something, right? Like just developing and creating a sense of self-love and um, telling better words to ourselves, you know, telling ourselves like, how we love ourselves, perhaps like giving ourselves better words because we are waiting for others to tell us words that we want to hear, correct? And
Yeah.
then if they're not saying that, if they come to you if they come to us in a place they were not in a good place themselves, right? And they come and say some words to us and we get hurt because we want somebody to give us good words to make us feel better, right? And if they're not able to do that, we get hurt. So it's about giving to ourselves what we've been wanting to hear from others. And when we come to that place of inner self solidity, inner love, giving ourselves the good words, um, those parts of us that are waiting to hear those good words from others get healed. We feel better about ourselves. And then if somebody is not in a good place and they say something, we can come to them in a place of compassion. Like, uh, you know, how's it going? What's going on? What's bothering you? We can kind of be in a more better emotionally intelligent place with them because we're taking care of our own emotional place. And then we can be in a place of compassion, openness, kindness towards others. So yeah, so I would suggest like just work through those memories of mom um, that are causing these perceptions of others, the hurtful words from others. So that would be a really good place to go to. And certainly, as you heal that, because it's coming from the past, it's mom saying those, and somebody wrote in the text, too much empathy. Um, let's see. Okay. Too much expression of empathy can be disempowering too, because yeah, then it becomes disempowering. Yes. So yeah, it's about like having a compassion for ourselves, giving ourselves the words we want to hear, loving ourselves, and then others, whatever they say, they're not going to be hurtful. And we can give better words to others as a result.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So,
Yeah. It brings, I think probably what a lot of it came from was her trying to like parent multiple children, right? And so she's labeling like, oh, you're saying hurtful words, that's mean, or don't say that, to the child who was upset about something. And then from, me, it's like, oh, that's sad that you're feeling hurt or whatever. And so,
Mm.
yeah, to rewrite those messages and then
Mhm.
to figure out how to parent differently of when I'm on the outside seeing those children who are, one is the hurt, one is the one who's taken on that, oh, that hurt that victim, and the other one who's like the instigator kind of thing of,
Right. Yes. I think a good way to look at it and um, reparenting ourselves, and changing the memories would be looking at, there's a book called I'm Okay, You're Okay. It's about the parent, our parent parts, our child parts, and then where we need to get all of us is the adult self. Because, our parental part is like, parenting, always like making sure everything is okay. Um, you know, and, for example, if your mom is trying to take care of lots of kids and she can get into a parental place with, this person is not, doing something correct and the other person just kind of too much empathy for them. So that's our parental mind would do that, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, just judgment more,
mhm,
right? And then there's our child part, our child mind, gets hurt. They want to be taken care of. They want to hear certain words. They want to be made feel okay, right? Um, and a big part of healing our past is coming to our adult self, stepping into our adult self of, um, I'm not there right now. Mom had problems. How can I look at it in a better way with better perceptions? And going forward, how can I heal myself? How can I take care of myself so I don't need to wait for somebody else to say certain words to me for me to feel okay about myself? So that's stepping into our adult mind. So this book talks a little bit about that. So I think it's a really good book. It might help.
okay, thank
So
you.
yeah, so just keep that in mind. Am I being in a parental mind right now? Am I being in a child mind right now? And what would be a better way to step into the adult mind? And so when we're doing the tapping, it's like we're letting go of this, like this parental judgmental part. We're letting go of this hurt child part and coming to a better mindset of how to be an adult in this world and create win-win situations, for us and for others, and be a better person for ourselves and let go of the past hurts. So that always is a good thing to keep in mind when we're tapping, because otherwise, as we were talking about, tapping can just become just empty, just tapping, you know, and then we're still like blaming others and whatever not. So yeah, it's just about coming to an adult part and keeping the wisdom and not repeating those patterns anymore and not living out of the past.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. And so as every time that happens, every time you get hurt by other people's words, you tap it from that perception is like, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm becoming a better adult for myself. I don't need anybody's words to make me feel happy, make me feel loved. I can give those words to myself. And I don't need to judge anyone either because they're coming from their own worldview or they're
Mhm.
having a bad day. It doesn't mean anything about me.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else have any insights? Okay. Who would like to read next? We have the important facts about perception. All right, Torian, go for it.
Number one, perception is created by the subconscious and unconscious mind and limbic system based on life experiences. Every experience is interpreted based in existing proof, memories. And then that interpretation is organized and filed by the subconscious and unconscious mind and limbic system. When we view the world, we are looking at it through those filters. Number two, perception is subjective and unique. Since no two people have exactly the same life experiences, there are so many variables from 1 second to the next that not even twins raised in the same way and treated in the same way will have the same life experiences. Every person is seeing the world differently, with different subconscious and unconscious mind and limbic system references to support that perception. Number three, when perception changes, the responses in the brain and body change. Change the references and change the lenses, which changes your perception. It is only your perception that determines how you experience the world and yourself. Do not take it personally if someone does not like you. Not everyone has good taste.
Beautiful. Yeah, so that's really cool. Any insights on that? Pretty much everyone has different perceptions. I have twins, and they're completely different people. They were raised by the same people, raised in the same way, and they're completely different people. Their worldview is different. They do different things. They're into different things. It's just because they had different experiences. Just had different experiences going through their life, and they have different perceptions. And it's just very unique. And I love that last statement. Not everyone has the same taste, so don't take it personally. So, yeah. All right. Is there anything else we could talk about perception? Anything else? Anybody have insights, examples, questions?
I was just thinking of not full-blown arguments, but I could have saved myself a lot of grief over the years, not trying to convince other people about my opinions or thoughts on something. And a lot of it would have been like medical. So I feel like, in a sense, I should have just waited for them to ask me instead of trying to convince them. Or we could have all probably not gotten into some arguments that we have gotten into over the years if we would just realize that that's their perception and I have my perception. But,
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like there's a way we can put our perception forward without getting into the argument or without getting hurt or without anybody else getting hurt. It's like we can put forward our viewpoint of what we believe about certain things. And I think that's where that big emotional intelligence comes from, um, diplomacy, a little bit of, understanding them, where they're coming from, and what's right for us. And then we can find a middle ground and how we can convey our point of view, but, not have to argue about it.
yeah, well, right now with everything going on and the election coming up,
Oh,
can't have a conversation with anybody.
no.
It's very hard to express your voice and your opinion. So I don't know why that just popped into my head because it's very
It's so
interesting
true.
how people's perceptions are being influenced and in the manner that it has been over this last few months.
It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, it's like even in the same family, people can have different perceptions about the political situation, and families can fall apart because of politics. It's crazy. You just gotta,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I think a lot of diplomacy needs to be needs to be considered here of what to talk about and what not to. It's like, okay, you can keep your opinion. That's all right. I still love you.
Right. And then with Alicia, it was almost like sometimes we automatically give somebody a perception about something, as we well know, because of our beliefs or our past experiences, as opposed to letting her as a young girl hear words and then leave it well enough alone, because the words may have not have touched her in the manner like when you talk about your twins being so differently, but because it was, it she inherited that, like, as she knows. But I guess going forward with little kiddos and stuff, you can see if they have an issue with that kind of thing, and if they come to you and you guys talk about it, and as opposed to repeating the same pattern since you're so young. That was your age.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So perception is the cause of all problems, and so we just have to check our perception where we are causing ourselves the problem. Hey, Alicia.
So do you have a way that you have conversations with people to help them start to question their beliefs? And I say that like maybe something like medical. Like it seems interesting how from such a young age we've grown up with this belief system about the body and medical, and how we're just sort of helpless about what medically happens to us, and then we need to go to a doctor to get fixed or to get a pill or to get a surgery or whatever. But when we're doing this and we're learning like our physical is an expression of, our emotions. So do you have some thoughts of how to sort of come to that conversation with people to get them to start questioning that, belief system about medical, or I mean, it could go with anything like politics or spiritual questions or whatever. Does my question make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Were you asking Karen? Because she was talking about medical and she has some medical background, I believe.
Well, you or Karen, you had brought up just I don't know, you had said something about talking with people too. But anyone, I mean, it's
Yeah,
like, for instance, like my husband has this medical thing. He started taking some pills, and like, I talked to him, and he kind of thinks like he's got some emotional stuff involved with it, but he's like not going that way. And I'm just like, okay, I mean, you can do what you want. Um,
yeah. So, how I do it is like, I like I tell them, I really believe and I'm 100% convinced that, most of the causes of disease is emotions and our, unresolved issues, emotional issues or traumas from the past. Um, because, just for a simple example, uh, everyone knows that, if you have stress, your anxiety goes up. If you have anxiety and stress going up, you have heart racing, high blood pressure, heart problems. That's pretty much very well known these days, right? Um, you know, because, the anxiety causes, anxiety affects our mind, which releases, certain hormones or whatever, the blood pressure goes up. And that is connected to pretty much all other diseases. Um, you can show them the books, the books that Robert refers to, the mind body books. So I would read to them from that book, okay, let's see what this book says, see if you can relate to that. And pretty much, they will say, oh yeah, I have had this in the past, if they're honest with themselves. So I've had this one person, my neighbor, my 70-year-old neighbor, and she wanted me to work with her son, and who did not believe in any of this. Like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. And I read him the book. Oh yeah, nothing like that happened. And So, I don't know. My neighbor has a different story. She's like, oh, he doesn't want to remember anything, and all this happened, and he's just lying. I don't know. But anyway, if anybody's honest with themselves and if they're really willing to look at themselves, if you read through those books, they will relate to something or the other. Um, and then it's just about like, because it's such a brainwashed thing that, it's like it, diseases just happen to us, and the emotions that don't have anything to do with it, and it's all genetic and this and that. So there's, all that is really, really ingrained in our society. But coming into eutaptics, I'm really a firm believer in, it's we got we got emotional past problems that we manifest in the form of physical diseases. And then there's lots of other books that that I would refer them to. There's those books, and then there's some especially if they have physical pain issues, there's Dr. Sarno. He did a lot of work on mind body symptoms and all that. So, and then there's a book by one of his patients that he wrote. It's called The Great Pain Deception. So I refer those books to people, and then they can allow them to make their own decision, basically. Because, we can't argue with them. We can't tell them, oh, no, this is the right way. They have to think and see what's right for them and allow them to make the right decision for themselves. Because it's a very sensitive subject.
Yeah.
You know, yes. Karen,
What
did you have any?
what
Oh,
was
go
that
ahead,
doctor?
Elise.
What was that doctor's name again?
Dr. Sarno. I think John Sarno,
Okay.
Sarno. Um, so that's all about how emotions, the pain gets trapped in the body, because basically we don't want to look at the emotional cause of something going on in our life. We want to just repress that, and that gets manifested in our body in the form of body pain, back pain, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that was well said. That's the piece that's been missing from the medical system is the mind-body connection. That's why I left nursing. Didn't want to push another patient on the gurney, imagining that was going to be me. I've had tons of different physical, not really. Well, probably emotional too, ailments and illnesses. And I know that it has a relationship to probably not only personal experiences, but my hospital experiences as well. Because you just can't work in that environment and put the amount of hours and see what we saw and treat the patients we treated, but and not have that affect us physically and emotionally. But at the same time, and that's why there's a lot of sick nurses, right? And doctors. But at the same time, I've also seen patients with two different types of personalities, both have the same diagnoses, and one recover and one not, as we learn, and with the placebo and no placebo effect has on the people, and also people with language barriers always seem to do a lot better than the people without, the people that weren't Googling and looking up stuff and everything. And because it's just so connected. I mean, I've seen, it's unfortunate what I've seen, really, and I think that's what brought me into eutaptics. And I'm only just beginning stages of level 3, so there's so much more I even need to know to have this perspective versus all my years of how it was working as a nurse. But I'd see patients, they get bone marrow transplant, and a few months later they're out of remission, and then they'd have to get another one. And then I made the connection. Okay, well, what's going on in their life? Why are we not treating their emotions and their problems? And this is, yeah. So I could ramble on about all this stuff, but
It's
yeah,
beautiful. Thank you,
100%.
Karen.
And I'm still trying to figure out, like your husband, like what can you say aside from, well, when was the last time it happened, or is there a pattern to it? Like my friend Mary went on vacation. Every time she goes on vacation, she gets sick. And so there's something going on there as well. So yeah, it's I guess for her, she just would have to learn from me because she's a nurse as well. So she went to the doctor and ended up getting Prilosec. And I'm like, oh, Mary, there's something emotional going on. You know that, just like your back pain. But anyways, I'll stop rambling.
Definitely. Definitely. And then also, yeah, asking him those questions, and also, when that started first, whatever issue he's having, what was going on. And just, kind of with compassion, helping him make connections. And yeah, definitely. Because it's much faster healing in that, because taking pills, we're just suppressing it, pushing it down. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just in our programming, it's more that I just need to like just listen because he kind of knows when it started, and with my
Yeah.
with my son coming back and then getting married right away and bringing up old memories of him leaving home, and so he knows. He knows it's like probably partly related to emotional stuff. So I think partly it's just me like not saying anything, just listening, just allowing him to do that and not mothering him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And you could just like, you're in level 1, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you could just, he probably knows, about the eutactics. Perhaps you've talked about him, and you can even just say, hey, I'm learning something interesting. Would you like to try it out? Or, help me practice, like, oh, I'm just trying to practice for my test. Would you like to try it out? Something like
Yeah.
that, and see how it works, and just play with it.
I mean, it's kind of like what Amy was talking about, where the practitioner told her to tap on something. And she's like,
Hmm.
no, I don't want to. Like,
Right.
or maybe I don't want to, or whatever. It might be kind of like that. Like, you're telling me to do that?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I don't want to then.
No, that's, yeah, just in a more playful, instead of like telling them to do it, it's
Yeah.
just in a more compassionate, or just more playful. Um,
Mhm.
if not, as he watches you grow and heal, he
Yeah.
would be more interested in it too.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times we can just teach by example, show by example.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially when it comes to family. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, everyone. This was really good. I guess we didn't have time to talk about stress, but we had really good discussion about perception, and a lot of good examples, and um, good discussions. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. It was really good. So next week, I'm thinking we can talk about stress and what is memory, and there's linking and dumping, which is all connected with the memory. So perhaps we can talk about all that. Memory and linking and dumping. Does that sound good? All right.
You.
Good seeing you all. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Enjoy. Bye bye.